So as we've mentioned, President Cyril Ramaphosa has placed Minister of Health, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, on special leave. Minister of Tourism, Ms Mmamoloko Kubayi-Ngubane, will serve as acting health minister.
I had no role to play in the award of the contract, and that there was no personal benefit in this regard. Now, all of these were the issues that we put on the table for the public on the particular date. Of course, subsequent to that, some new information came to light that suggested that some money was used to fix the lights in the house, and of course my wife was busy investigating that, and we were all shocked because the official who was working and assisting in the fixing of those that had been given the money, and so unknown to us had gone to work together with a former staff member who ended up paying this thing about 7,000 rand. And so that matter, we've said that we need full accountability to that, because the money had been paid and there was no issue. And I think some of you might have seen that there was a response from my wife on that particular issue. The subsequent other issue related to some money that were transferred to my son's account, and again this has made the family quite unhappy, and we're quite outraged with this, and then we have had to sit down and have a conversation on that matter to indicate that their kind of relationship that was involved was inappropriate, and that of course at the end all those funds would need to be returned, but the issue was that it was based on a personal relationship, which adults, as we have children at this age, people have relationships which we are not necessarily aware as to what extent they go.
We get various political reactions now to these developments. We're joined now by Freedom Front Plus's Virtual Vessels to talk a little bit more about this. What has been your reaction to this development?
Well, it's not a long-term solution. The investigation must be concluded as quickly as possible. But I think the most important point is that regardless of the allegations of personal benefit or any wrongdoing or any corruption, the nature of the contract is completely ridiculous. The fact that a company was paid money to do the work of employees in the communication department of the Department of Health, and to arrange a press briefing and media interviews with the public broadcaster in this dire financial times, that must also be investigated, and the minister as the political head and also the accounting officer of the department must also answer to that, regardless of any allegations of personal benefit, the nature of the contract, and the fact that we were wasting money in a time of dire financial constraints. That must be investigated as well, and there must be consequences for this wrongful contract.
So, Mr. Vessels, you say it's a short-term solution. Mr. Mkhize has himself said, including the presidency, that this is to give him time to delve with these various questions. So do you feel that that's not the appropriate action then?
Well, it is. He must be placed on special leave. He must give his time and his full cooperation with the investigation. But then the other part of it is that currently the Department of Health must also answer, and the political head of the department, the minister, must answer to Parliament and specifically to the Portfolio Committee with regards to this contract. And that is a accountability and an oversight process that must be continued. And this special leave must not now cause a situation where the minister is not going to appear in front of the Portfolio Committee. That must still be done, and Parliament must be granted its opportunity also to do oversight.
Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Virtual Vessels is a member of Parliament for Freedom Front Plus. We're joined now by United Democratic Movement's leader, General Bantolo Misa. What are your thoughts on these developments? You've heard what the Freedom Front Plus says, that it's all well and good, but it's not a long-term solution. Unfortunately, we will have to reconnect with the UDM leader. We'll also get various reactions from the governing party as well. There is talk that Dr. Zweli Mkhize is going to submit himself to the ANC's Integrity Commission. So, okay, we do have General Bantu Olomisa, who's the UDM's leader, back on the line with us. So what are your thoughts about these developments, and is it good enough at this stage, given the crisis that we've faced, as other political parties have outlined as well?
I think we should welcome the news of suspending the Minister of Health. It shows that the government is serious about fighting corruption. So we welcome it.
It's interesting that you say suspension and the presidency has termed it a special leave. Do you see the two as interchangeable?
Well, irrespective, as long as Mr. Mkhize is not in the office while the investigation is underway in his department.
Would you have anticipated that this decision should have been taken earlier in order to avoid reputation damage, as some have seen to be the result since these allegations surfaced?
It's long overdue. We expected President Cyril Ramaphosa to have taken a decision earlier on, or that Mkhize, on his own volition, he should have offered to take leave.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us, the UDM leader, General Bantu Olomisa. Let's get reaction now from the Democratic Alliance. We are joined now by Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the spokesperson. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. You've been calling for this move. Are you satisfied that has now come to pass?
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. We've noted the announcement by the president. Of course, we have been calling for a suspension of the minister, but we will accept the special leave because it achieves one important function, and that is the fact that the minister will be removed from the department as the SIU conducts its investigation. Because we were always of the view that if you've got a sitting minister who is being investigated for his role in a scandal like this while they're sitting in office, it could constitute as undue political pressure. And so that is why this is welcomed. But perhaps, for a president that speaks very tough on corruption, the softballing on the president's side is noteworthy.
This obviously also comes at a very important time when one looks at the allegations and the work that Digital Vibes had either been tasked with or purported to be tasked with, that they had undertaken or allegedly undertaken. What do you foresee as the impact of this? Is it likely to have a long-term impact, especially at a time when we need to be strengthening our messaging to various communities during vaccine rollout, etc., etc.?
Look, it's deeply unfortunate that the person who is leading the COVID-19 response in South Africa has allegations of this magnitude hanging over their head. Because, of course, we have seen and heard what the SIU has said, that over 14 billion rand of public money is the subject of investigation just around COVID-19 alone. But ultimately, we are of the view that it's absolutely important, regardless of who you are and what position you hold, that if you are suspected of something of this nature, that an investigation must ensue, and that those who are responsible must be held to account.
Okay.
And so we are of the view that this must happen. Otherwise, then we are dealing with holy cows within the cabinet.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That is spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance, Cyril Ramaphosa. We move on now to Dennis Bloom of Cope for More Reaction. Just what have you been seeing as the situation unfolds as COPE? We now have a replacement that the presidency has announced as a caretaker minister. What is your reaction to that news?
So good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers. We reject it completely, this decision by President Ramaphosa to place the minister on special leave. The minister must be fired. This allegations is very, very serious. You cannot put a person on special leave when there's this type of allegations against him. We are saying that this thing of putting people on special leave, it is eating taxpayers' money. When these people have done something wrong, they must be chucked out of the system. You must not have mercy. You see, this corruption will never stop in this country because there is always investigations, there's always special leave.
Mr. Bloom, let me come in there and say you may have heard the minister say that one of the reasons that he requested to be placed on special leave is so that they can deal with this as a family, the allegations that he and his family personally benefited. They may be just that at the moment. There's no evidence that they themselves were complicit. So are you saying that irrespective of that, the fact that there are these allegations, that is enough to warrant him being fired?
You see, our argument is very simple. If the minister feels that allegations, wrong allegations is made against him, he must take this person, Peter Louis Maibed, let him take him to court for defamation of character. If it is not the truth. But I know that he will not do it like Isma Khashule have threatened. And up until now, they have not do that. We are saying that if we want to stop corruption in this country, we must act very firmly against all those who is stealing taxpayers' money.
Thank you so much, COPE's President Dennis Bloom. We move now to get reaction from the Nkatha Freedom Party. Its President Nkosi Hlabisa joins us. Nkosi Hlabisa joins us. Apologies for that. Mr. Hlabisa, so you have also been commenting on this widely. Is this satisfactory action, and are you happy with the caretaker minister?
We only welcome the decision by the President to put on leave Dr. Zweli Mkhize because the cloud was too much to allow him to carry on as the face of the department that is leading the fight against the pandemic. Unfortunately, the appointment of Minister Kubayi-Ngubane, we feel the President missed an opportunity at the midst of the third pandemic. The appointment of someone to take care of the department, even on an acting capacity, should have been someone with medical understanding and knowledge.
So when you say that, are you suggesting that perhaps it should have even fallen on the Deputy Minister of Health?
Yeah, even if, because the Deputy Minister does not sit in the cabinet, but within the cabinet ministers, there are two people who are medically qualified people. Look, my sister, the minister will have to argue, will have to comprehend every concept or discussion or argument made by the scientists, professors, doctors. The minister now set to act will argue with limitations, not with authority, because some of the concept will be above her understanding, truly speaking. A person without a clinical knowledge is not relevant when we are preparing ourselves for the third wave. Dr. Zweli Mkhize managed to play it very well because of his knowledge and understanding of medical science. We have lost that.
So going forward, given the challenges that you have outlined, what then should be the first port of call from the ministry itself, especially as you said, various provinces are facing the third wave of COVID-19. There's a vaccine rollout which has also been in limbo as a result of the FDA's decision. Frontline workers are being exposed.
You see, the first thing, the president must win the confidence of all of us in South Africa and the international community by quickly putting in place someone, if not on a permanent base, on a temporal base, someone who is having a good command of all issues involved. That is the first thing the president must do. So that all other issues like the rollout of the vaccine should be championed by someone who will understand any backlog, even if it is a scientific backlog, not someone who will have to be explained the concept and scientific and clinical backlogs that might occur.
Zweli Nkosini, President of the IFP, thank you very much. Let's go to the governing party now, the African National Congress. Its spokesperson, Mr. Pule Mabe, joins us now. I'm not sure if you're privy to any of that discussion, Mr. Mabe, but the IFP lamenting the president's choice of a caretaker, saying that a technocrat, somebody who has at least a scientific understanding of the workings of COVID-19 as we're facing the third wave. What's your reaction to that? Okay, let's see if Mr. Mabe can hear us. Mr. Mabe, I was trying to get your reaction to what the IFP president was saying, that the president missed an opportunity. He should have chosen somebody with a medical background, a technocrat, to be caretaker health minister. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, evening to Piso and evening to your viewers. Of course, the decision on who would go on to replace Comrade Zweli Mkhize while he's on special leave, it's entirely a prerogative of the president. But it is also not fair to send a message that suggests that the only people who can lead departments of health in the country are those with a medical background. I mean, there are technocrats in those departments. Politicians in the form of ministers are not necessarily technocrats. They are people, virologists, epidemiologists, qualified individuals in the medical profession. What is expected of those that really occupy positions of political responsibility is to be able to provide leadership. The African National Congress has got the resolution. The expectation has always been that those that we deploy in government, as they discharge their responsibility, they will be able to do so in sync and consistent with resolutions of our
movement. You relying on collective leadership here in saying that as a governing party, you too will give support? But equally, if a cynic would say, the government, through its head of state, has said we are looking to professionalize the state apparatus, that should this then not be a decision that is reflective of that commitment?
But a piece of professionalizing the state does not mean that in the Department of Energy you must appoint somebody with energy background. Professionalizing the state means that you must be committed to rolling out an ethical developmental state, install men and women who will be able to safeguard the public purse, who will display maximum selflessness and make sure that they place the interest of the public we lead first before they are very old. For instance, what kind of qualification is the president of a country expected to have? The president of the country is supposed to be loyal to parties that deploy them. Ensure that in the work that they do in the state, they implement the manifesto which constitute the contract that the party that they lead shall have entered into with the people of South Africa.
So you're saying that Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi-Ngubane is well and able. Let's move on now to the Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who is on special leave. He is going to the Integrity Commission, but there are calls from other political parties saying, just based on the you know, the allegations alone, the weight of those allegations of corruption and maladministration, that he should be fired. Would the Integrity Commission lead to a decision that would be anywhere closer to this kind of finality?
Well, Tepiso, I must just remind you and the viewers of the SABC that those who serve in the Integrity Commission are beyond my age. They take decisions guided by the need to safeguard and enhance the integrity of the African National Congress. Earlier today, while he was in the Northern Cape, Dr. Zweli Mkhize used the opportunity to also convey an apology to the people of South Africa in the manner in which the digital vibes issue has played itself out in the public. That is commendable. When leaders come out to take responsibility and then say, I do understand what this would have done to the trust that the public had placed in the state, such leaders deserve to be commended. He did say himself in his own words that he would have already in a conversation with the president had advised on the need to take that kind of a special leave, but left the president to be able to communicate that kind of a decision. This is selflessness. This is a comradeship. This is a sign and gesture of leadership. Leaders have to find it upon themselves to reflect on some of these issues and then say what's best for the country and act in the interest of the people.
Thank you so much. ANC spokesperson Mpule Mabe. We have been reaching out to the economic freedom fighters for comment. We've been unable to reach them at this stage, but we'll see if we can get them to react on this issue later on.